Okay, in the previous class we had seen the introduction to vectors, right? Now what is a vector? It's a physical quantity which has both magnitude and direction, right? Yeah, what is scalar? Scalars, they have only magnitude, fine, right? Now next let us see what are the mathematical operations that can be performed on the physical quantity, that is scalars and vectors, right? Now coming to scalars, okay, coming to scalars, we can add, subtract, okay, we can perform addition, subtraction, okay, then multiplication and division, all right. All these four operations can be performed on a scalar, right? Now there are however a few simple rules which we need to keep in mind, right? Now coming to addition and subtraction, so together we can say we'll follow algebraic addition, okay, algebraic addition and algebraic, considering basic algebra, so considering signs, right? So we will consider the signs and we will add or subtract, okay, fine. Now when you are adding or subtracting a vector, okay, so yeah, before that let us take an example. So good example for a scalar is mass, right? Then temperature, right? Then distance, like that, fine. So these are actually few examples for scalars, right? Now example you can take, say I have 5 kg of sugar, right? Then I will removing will usually give negative sign, so I am left with 3 kg of sugar, like that. So it's not that difficult, all of you know this already, fine. Now coming to the simple rules which we need to follow when you are adding vectors, right? Adding, sorry, not vectors, scalars. Add when you are adding scalars or subtracting scalars. So what we need to do there is, yeah, it's like saying, so you can add mass with mass, correct? Now just now I said if I remove 2 kgs of sugar from 5 kg, right, I'll be left with 3 kg, right? So this discussion, this mathematical operations, whatever I'm saying, it is purely for scalars. Now what to do with vectors we'll see next, okay, fine. So here suppose I say add 5 kg of sugar, okay, add 5 kg of sugar with, you can say 2 meters of tape, okay, or you can say 2 meters of some red tape, something like that, okay. So do you think it makes sense? No. What is the reason here? Because I have to see that I am adding or subtracting the same type of physical quantities, correct? It's like saying 4 apples, okay, 4 apples plus 3 mangoes. So what can you say? You can simply say I have 7 fruits, right? So you cannot add apples with mangoes, right? So eventually, finally, you don't say that I have got 7 mangoes, or you don't say I have got 7 apples, correct? So like that. When you are adding or subtracting scalars, okay, when you are adding or subtracting scalars, fine, you need to make sure that both the scalars are having the same unit. That is, I can add mass with mass, right, or I can subtract mass from mass, like that, all right, fine. So this is one simple rule. I think all of you know this already, fine. Anyways, it's better to remember, fine. Now let us come to vectors, okay, operations on vectors. Yeah, before that we forgot to say division, multiplication and division, okay, multiplication and division on of considering scalars, right? So if you consider multiplication and division, it's easy. So you can multiply one scalar with another scalar, okay, you can multiply one scalar with another scalar, you can divide one scalar with another scalar, okay. So only for adding and subtracting you need to make sure they are of the same type of physical quantity, okay. So for multiplying or dividing, so you need not worry, right? So you would have, I think we have seen it already, right? So any example, right, we'll write, those are, can't recall any, one second. Yeah, a good example for division, we already know speed, right? So speed is equal to distance by time, correct? Now distance, so if you can see distance, right, so distance, it is actually a scalar, right? So time is also a scalar, so you don't have to specify any directions for distance and time. So displacement, we, it is actually it will always point from initial point to the final point. Okay, it will always be in the direction. We will just write a straight line from initial point to the final point. For displacement, I'm saying, right? So speed is a good example where you can actually see speed as ratio of two scalars, right? So we are dividing, right? Distance is meter, time is second. See, meter and meter divided by second we are doing. So this is one good example where you can actually divide scalars. Okay, so the scalars can be of different units. So here distance and time are different physical quantities, right? They are different physical quantities. Yeah, that this is what we need to remember for scalars. Okay, so scalars, it is not that difficult. Now coming to operations on vectors, let us say. Okay, so mathematical operations on vectors. Now let us consider addition first. Okay, addition of vectors. So we will see how to add two vectors in detail. Okay, addition of vectors. So here, coming to addition of vectors, there is a law. Okay, so triangular, we'll call it as triangular law of addition. Okay, triangular law of addition, and we have an equivalent law for this triangular law of addition, which we'll call it as parallelogram law of addition. So what is this triangular law? What is this parallelogram law? All these things we'll see. Okay, it's really easy. All of you will understand it. Okay, so as I told you, please take down the points in your notes. Fine, right? Okay, now let us try to understand. Okay, now yeah, we have a physical quantity at hand. Okay, so now I will give you a physical quantity at hand. Okay, you have a physical quantity at hand. Now I'll ask you to say whether I'll ask you to check whether it is a scalar or a vector. Okay, now say it has some directional properties already. Okay, it has some directional properties already. Fine. Now, how can you classify any physical quantity as a vector quantity? Okay, how can you say any physical quantity as a vector quantity? Okay, if you want to say that a physical quantity as a vector quantity, it must compulsorily obey this triangular law of addition. Okay, this triangular law of addition. All right, equivalently, if it obeys triangular law of addition, it will definitely obey parallelogram law of addition. Okay, right? So these two are equivalent. Okay, so these two are equivalent. So if you understand one, understanding the other, it's just the one more simple step, you will understand it. Okay, right? So these two laws we'll call them as equivalent to each other. Fine. Now again, if you want to call a physical quantity as a vector, right? Now that physical quantity, now vector, right, must satisfy, okay, any vector must satisfy the laws of vector addition. Okay, it must satisfy the laws of vector addition. Only then you can call it as a vector. Okay, any vector must satisfy the laws of vector addition. Only then you can call it as a vector. Okay, so you need to remember this. Fine, right? So I'm just going with the flow given in your textbook. Okay, so things will be easier. Fine, right? Now we will see what is this triangular law and parallelogram law in detail in another 2 or 3 classes. We'll see. Okay, fine. Now let us take a simple example for vector. Okay, examples for vector. Right. Okay, now let us take one real world scenario so that each one of you will understand. Okay, so we still have time. Fine. So what we'll do is, I think you would have seen something like building plans, right? Okay, building plans before constructing the house. So usually we have a building plan, right? So I think you would have seen, this is the plot. Okay, next they'll divide. So this is room, right? So this corner, right? This corner they will usually mark it like this. So there will be a door like this. So it tells you that it is a door, right? And they'll leave spaces like this, correct? They'll leave spaces like this. So this is an opening, right? This is just like you're observing, imagine you're observing the ground floor from the top floor, okay? Like that. So just imagine like that. Now I want you to imagine your classroom. Okay, so if you imagine your classroom, right, if you imagine your classroom, so say your classroom is in the ground floor. Okay, now you are observing the ground floor from the top floor. Okay, so what you can see is you will be able to see your friends' heads. Okay, your friends' heads will be seen. Okay, because you are imagine you are seeing from the ceiling. Okay, you are the fan. Imagine you are the fan and you are trying to see the floor. Okay, from the top. Okay, like that. Fine. Right, so this is the blackboard. Okay, so this is actually the blackboard. You are just seeing the edge. So this is your teacher. Fine, so somewhere here is the board. Okay, so this is the, sorry, door. Okay, so this is actually the door, let us say. Okay, so you will just see the edge of the door, right? So that is what I have written here. So this is the door. Okay, fine. Fine. Now I want you to, okay, now I'll ask, so this is you, or you can say 3 students are there, A, B, C. Okay, so you can keep names if you want, you, your best friend and your second best friend, like that. Fine. All right, now I'll ask you, what is the, say the you, your friend and one more friend, you are all sitting in the first desk. Okay, of, say this is the second desk. Okay, desk number 1 and desk number 2. Okay, so you are sitting in the first desk. Okay, and all right, so this is, you can call it as the first column. Okay, I usually will say row, right? So this is the first row. Fine, and this is the second row, right? So row 1 and row 2. All right, now this is A, B, C I have written. Okay, now I'll ask you, okay, I'll ask you, or I'll ask this person, whoever is sitting in the second bench. Okay, whoever is sitting in the second bench, I'll ask them, what is the position of A? Okay, this is the simple question. What is the position of A? Where is person A in your class? Okay, so there are many ways to express, right? Okay, you can say he's sitting in the first bench, right? He's sitting in the first bench of first row, right? So I've already marked row 1 and row 2. All right, so you can say like that, or you can say he is exactly next to, he is sitting next to B. Okay, he is sitting okay, yeah, you can, he is sitting next to B, you can say, right? So these are actually references. So the first person, okay, the first person, or yeah, the first person sitting in second bench, he'll say he's sitting in the first bench, right? I've just asked for position of A, first bench. So this is one answer you'll get. Or you can say this, he is sitting next to B. Okay, so these are actually references, is it not? So these are actually references, correct? So you can say, you can actually point out the position of the student A by giving some information on where he is, right? Now one more one more way of expressing is that he is at a distance of, you can write like this, he is at a distance of 10 meters from the wall. Okay, or you can say you have a window here. Okay, you have a window here, say this is the only window, correct? This is the only window. Now you can say he is at a distance of 2 meters from the window. Okay, so that is your person. So there are so many references. All right, now having understood this, I think you have understood this, fine. Now let us consider in a more general sense, right? Now I think all of you are aware about x and y axis, right? Cartesian coordinates also will say, fine. So here whatever the references we took, so first bench, that is actually a reference, right? So he is sitting in the first bench, he is sitting next to B. Now next to B also is a reference, right? Now he is 2 meters from the window. Now that also happens to be a reference. He is 10 meters from the door. That is also a reference, right? Now generally speaking, we will consider x, y plane, okay, x and y coordinates, okay, and usually we'll consider our reference to be the origin. Okay, I'll consider the reference to be the origin, right? Now let us see the same case here, right? Now this is person A and this is person B and this is person C, student A, B, C, right? Now it is just like you can see here room also, right? Now say you are facing the teacher here, correct? You were facing the teacher here. Now if you look back, the corner, this corner, whatever you have here, right? This corner, you can imagine it as the origin, all right? It is left to you. Choosing the reference is left to you, okay? Now I'll tell you one more way usually what we follow to say the position of a person or a body or something else, okay? So that we will actually call it as a position vector, okay? Now I'm going to define what is a position vector, okay? Fine, so it is easy, you'll understand. Now position vector is simply, first we will choose a reference, okay? Reference means we are going to say the position of a person or a body taking something as the reference, is it not, right? Now if I simply ask you, I'll take this person A, okay? Imagine you are the person. I'll take you to a plain ground. There is no tree, there is nothing, okay? I'll simply ask, where is this person A? Means you will say, you can simply say he's on the ground, correct? Now if you had a tree nearby, okay? If you had a tree nearby, you can say he is near that tree or he is near that building, correct? Like that, fine? Now coming to position vector, usually we'll define it with respect to a reference. The reference is in general, we'll take it as origin, fine? Now what we'll do is, we'll draw a straight line, okay? We'll draw a straight line from origin to the person, okay? Fine, 1 second, let me, yeah, we'll write it like this. So we'll write this way, okay? So I can write right, so this is, as I told you in the previous class, vector, we define it by an arrow, correct? Vector, we define it by an arrow. We define or will represent it by an arrow, right? Now the length, correct? The length actually tells you the magnitude, correct? So we have seen all these things, right? Now what you can see, you can say here is the position of A, right? The position of A, you can actually give it by writing or by drawing a vector whose tail is at the reference. Here, as I told you, the reference is taken as the origin, okay? And the head of the vector, okay? Or you can say the tip of the vector. Usually arrow will call it as head. For an arrow we'll say head and tail, right? For an arrow we'll say head and tail, but for vectors usually we'll say tip of the vector and tail of the vector. So this is also head of the vector also, you can say, not a problem, right? Now again, where is this person A? Okay, means we will first choose a reference, okay? So the reference we have in this diagram, I have actually chosen it as origin, okay? So that origin, it can be anything, right? So as I told you, imagine the origin to be the corner, corner which is behind you, okay? The corner which is behind you, this green color, whatever I have highlighted here, all right? Fine. So this you can call it as position vector of A. Now beside that, okay, as I told you, we will write R, okay? So usually for position vectors, we'll use the symbol small r, okay? RA with a vector sign, vector symbol, okay? Vector symbol. So this is actually the position vector of A, all right? That's all. Okay, now I can ask you what is the position vector of C. Means just choose the reference. From the reference, draw a line, okay, draw an arrow, okay, draw an arrow, right? From the reference, draw an arrow, right? Now the tail of the vector, it must be at the reference, okay, it must be meeting the reference, that is the origin. Now the head of the vector must be meeting it must end at the person, okay? So this will call it as RC, position vector of C, like that. Okay, right. So this is one simple example what you need to remember. Fine. Now you may ask, can't we take the origin can't we take the reference as something else? Yes, obviously you can take. See, as I told you here in the same diagram, if you had chosen this as the reference, okay, then the position vector, okay, always you can say the so before saying the position, you have to fix a reference. You can say from this left corner, okay, from this left corner, taking that as the reference, the position of A, okay, the position of A, it is actually given by this vector RA, okay, you can write. Otherwise, if you had taken this corner, okay, if you had taken this corner as the reference, then what you could have done, say, now I'm choosing this as the reference, okay, not a problem. This is also one more way of expressing, all right. Now you can write the position of C. Let me write position of C. Now the position of C, considering this right corner as the reference, yeah, reference means you can call it as origin now, O, right? So it can be written as RC, okay, like this. Now if this left corner was your reference, okay, if the left corner was your reference, then RC would have been like this, okay. It all depends on the reference from where you are trying to say the position, that is all, okay. I hope you understood, all right, fine. Yeah, let us stop here. We'll see in the next class.